Commander Vextar flexed his forearms with satisfaction as he gazed at the latest addition to his collection chamber. The small, pink-skinned bipe sat unconscious in the containment field, looking utterly harmless. Almost pathetically fragile, really. 2 arms, 2 legs, and a laughably small frame that couldn't possibly house any significant muscle mass. Perfect, he chittered to his subordinate, Lieutenant Kralvok, who was busy adjusting the atmospheric controls. Another specimen from the 3rd planet of the Sol system. These, what did our scouts call them? Humans. They should fetch a decent price at the galactic exotic markets. Kralvok's mandibles clicked nervously. Sir, the database indicates this species originates from a Class 12 Deathworld. Perhaps we should exercise additional caution with... Nonsense. Vextar's primary eyes rolled dramatically, while his secondary ones focused on the data pad. Look at this thing. It's barely 1.7 meters tall, has no natural weapons, no claws, no fangs, no armor plating. The gravity on their world is a mere 9.8 standard units. My homeworld's gravity is 3 times that strength. This creature probably can't even lift its own body weight. The human stirred slightly, making a soft groaning sound that made both aliens step back instinctively. Then she went still again. See? Even its vocalizations are weak, Vextar continued, puffing out his chest plates. The markets will love these delicate little creatures. We'll make a fortune. What Commander Vextar didn't know was that the delicate little creature he'd just abducted was Captain Maya Torres, a decorated Special Forces operative who'd been on her way home from a Black Ops mission when his ship's tractor beam had snatched her transport vessel. She'd been awake for the last 10 minutes, listening to every word while carefully testing the strength of her bonds. Maya's tactical mind was already working. 2 hostiles, both roughly 3 meters tall, multiple limbs, chitinous exoskeletons. The atmosphere was breathable, gravity felt slightly lighter than Earth normal. The containment field hummed at a frequency that suggested it was energy-based rather than physical barriers. She kept her breathing steady, maintaining the illusion of unconsciousness while cataloguing every detail of her surroundings. The walls appeared to be some kind of bio-metal composite, smooth and seamless. No obvious weapons in sight, but the aliens' natural builds suggested they relied on physical strength rather than tools. How long until we reach the trading station? Vextar asked, checking his chronometer. Approximately 6 standard hours, Commander. The jump drive is still cooling down from our last translation. Excellent. That gives us time to prepare the merchandise properly. I want full biological scans, genetic samples, and behavioral assessments. These humans might be physically weak, but their neural patterns could prove interesting. Maya's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Merchandise. She'd been called many things in her 15-year military career, but never merchandise. These oversized cockroaches were about to learn why humans had conquered their homeworld's food chain despite being, as they so eloquently put it, pathetically fragile. The lieutenant approached the containment field with what appeared to be a scanning device. Sir, I'm detecting some unusual readings from the specimen. Its heart rate is remarkably low for a creature that should be experiencing stress from the abduction. Probably in shock, Vextar dismissed with a wave of his lower left arm. These soft worlders break easily. Just get the scans done. Maya felt the scanning beam pass over her body, cataloguing her bone density, muscle mass, and organ structure. She had to fight the urge to smile. Let them scan away. They'd learn soon enough that human weakness was one of the universe's most dangerous deceptions. The scanning device beeped urgently, and Kralvok's antenna twitched with confusion. Commander, these readings, they can't be correct. What now? Vextar stomped over on his 6 legs, his irritation evident in the way his carapace rattled. The bone density is off the charts. Her skeletal structure is nearly as dense as Korathian battle steel. And her muscle fibers, they're compact, but the tensile strength readings are impossible. This can't be right. Vextar snatched the device and examined the display. Recalibrate the scanner. It's obviously malfunctioning. No creature from a low-gravity world could possibly have bone density like this. While they fiddled with their equipment, Maya was running calculations. The containment field's energy signature suggested it was designed to hold creatures with about twice human strength. Standard galactic assumption, probably. Most species likely developed along predictable evolutionary paths on worlds with similar conditions. But Earth wasn't similar to anything. Earth was a nightmare planet where everything was trying to kill everything else, where the weather could shift from scorching desert to frozen wasteland in a matter of hours, where the very air was a corrosive mixture of gases that would poison most galactic species. Humans hadn't just survived on Earth, they'd thrived, adapted, and eventually dominated every ecosystem on the planet. The recalibrated scanner produced the same results, causing Kralvok to make distressed clicking sounds. "Sir, the readings are consistent. This specimen's physical capabilities are far beyond what we expected." "It's still just one small creature," Vextar insisted, though his voice had lost some of its earlier confidence. What could it possibly do against two trained Korathian warriors? Maya decided it was time to find out. She opened her eyes slowly, blinking as if coming out of a deep sleep. Both aliens immediately focused on her, their multiple eyes tracking her every movement. She sat up carefully, wincing as if in pain, and looked around the chamber with what she hoped appeared to be confused fear. Where am I?" she asked, her voice small and trembling. "Please, I don't understand what's happening." Vextar's chest plates puffed out again. "See? Terrified and confused. Typical soft-worlder behavior." He activated a translation device and addressed Maya directly. "You are aboard the merchant vessel Prophet's Edge, human. You have been selected for relocation to serve the greater galactic economy." "Relocation?" Maya's voice cracked convincingly. "I want to go home. Please, I have a family." "Your previous existence is irrelevant," Vextar stated coldly. "You will be sold to the highest bidder at the Nexus trading station. Your species' rarity will ensure a premium price." Maya let tears form in her eyes, a skill she'd learned during resistance training. "Sold? Like a thing?" "Precisely. Your cooperation during transport will determine whether you arrive in sellable condition or as spare parts." That was the wrong thing to say. Maya's tactical assessment was complete. The containment field projected upward from emitters in the floor, creating a cylinder of energy around her. The control panel was approximately 4 meters away, well within jumping distance under this gravity. Both aliens were standing close together, overconfident in their physical superiority. Time to educate them about human adaptability. "I understand," Maya said quietly, lowering her head in apparent submission. "I'll cooperate. I need to know something first." "What?" Vextar leaned closer, his predatory instincts engaged by her show of weakness. Maya looked up at him with wide, innocent eyes. "How many of my people have you taken?" "You're the first from your world," he replied proudly. "But after seeing how easily you were acquired, we plan to harvest many more. Your species will make excellent slaves." Maya's expression didn't change, but something shifted in her posture. A subtle realignment of her weight, a slight tensing of muscles that the alien scanners had completely failed to properly analyze. "Well," she said softly, "that's unfortunate." "For you, certainly," Vextar agreed, completely missing the threat in her tone. Maya smiled, and for the first time, both aliens felt a primitive chill run down their spines. There was something predatory in that expression, something that spoke to genetic memories of being hunted by apex predators. "No," Maya said, her voice dropping to a whisper that somehow carried more menace than a shout. "For you. The containment field was designed to hold creatures with approximately 500 kilograms of lifting capacity, assuming standard galactic muscle density and bone structure. Maya Torres could deadlift 180 kilograms in Earth gravity. In this reduced gravity, with her Earth-evolved bone density and the explosive power of muscles designed to function under crushing atmospheric pressure, she was operating at about 40% of her normal strength requirements, which meant she was effectively superhuman. Maya lunged forward, her hands striking the energy field with precisely calculated force. The emitters, designed for much heavier impacts, overloaded instantly. Sparks flew as the containment system failed, filling the chamber with the acrid smell of burning circuits. Before either alien could react, Maya was moving. She rolled under Vex-Tar's grasping arms, came up behind him, and drove her elbow into what her tactical analysis suggested was his primary nervous system cluster. Her guess was correct. The commander dropped like a stone, his nervous system overloaded by the precise strike. Kralvok was faster, his lieutenant training kicking in as he activated an emergency alarm. The chamber filled with a warbling siren that made Maya's teeth ache, but she was already in motion. She grabbed the scanning device from where it had fallen and hurled it at the alien's head with deadly accuracy. The device, designed to withstand normal handling, shattered against Kralvok's skull with the force of a sledgehammer. He staggered, green fluid leaking from cracks in his carapace, but remained standing. "Impossible," he gasped, staring at Maya with something approaching religious awe. "You're just a soft worlder. This cannot be happening." Maya cracked her knuckles, a sound that made the injured alien flinch. "You want to know what's impossible?" Impossible is a species evolving on a world where everything is trying to kill them. Impossible is developing intelligence while being hunted by creatures that could bite them in half. Impossible is building a civilization while dodging asteroids, supervolcanoes, and ice ages. She began walking toward him, her movements fluid and predatory. "You know what's not impossible? A human getting really angry when someone threatens to enslave her entire species." Kralvok backed toward the chamber's exit, his multiple eyes darting between Maya and the controls. "The ship has automated defenses, security drones. You cannot escape." "Who said anything about escaping?" Maya asked sweetly. "I'm not going anywhere until I've had a nice long chat with whoever's in charge of this operation." The lieutenant's mandibles clicked in terror as he realized the truth. He hadn't captured a helpless victim. He'd brought a Deathworlder aboard their ship. And now that Deathworlder was loose, angry, and apparently capable of treating their most advanced containment systems like paper barriers. As if to emphasize the point, Maya casually picked up a piece of the broken scanner and crushed it to powder in her bare hand. The metal fragments trickled through her fingers like sand. "Now then," she said, her voice carrying the pleasant tone of someone discussing the weather, "why don't you tell me everything about your slave trading operation? And please don't make me ask twice." Kralvok's terror pheromones filled the chamber as he realized he was no longer the predator in this situation. He was prey, and the apex predator of a death world was asking him questions. The ship's intercom crackled to life. "Bridge to Containment Bay 7. Report your status immediately." Maya smiled again, that same predatory expression that had chilled the aliens to their cores. She stepped over the unconscious Vex-Tar and activated the communication system. "This is Captain Maya Torres of the Terran Defense Force," she announced calmly. "I'm commandeering this vessel under the authority of the Sol System Defense Treaty. To whoever's listening, you have two choices. Surrender immediately, or I'll show you why humans aren't just another species to be catalogued and sold." She paused, letting the silence stretch uncomfortably. "For your sake, I hope you choose option 1. Because if you choose option 2, you're going to learn exactly why Earth is classified as a Class 12 death world." The intercom went dead. In the sudden silence, Maya could hear the ship's engines changing pitch, probably altering course. She smiled. They were taking her seriously now. That was a good start. But it was only the beginning of their education about humanity. Captain Jektor's 3 hearts were beating so rapidly they threatened to burst from his chest cavity. He stared at the communication console in disbelief, his scaled hands trembling as he replayed the transmission from Containment Bay 7. "Sir?" His navigation officer, Sub-Commander Yelana, approached cautiously. "Should we contact the Galactic Patrol? Report a hostile takeover?" Jek Tor's laugh was bitter and hollow. "Report what? That we abducted a sentient being for slave trading and she broke free? The patrol would execute us before the human could." On the main view screen, red warning lights flashed across the ship's internal monitoring system. Bay 7 showed 2 life signs, one unconscious, one very much alert and moving through the corridors. The ship's sensors were tracking the human's progress, and what they revealed made Jek Tor's blood run cold. Maya Torres was methodically exploring the vessel, and every security measure they'd installed was proving utterly useless against her. Force fields designed to stop charging rhinoceros-class beasts sparked and died under her precise strikes. Security doors rated for military-grade sieges crumpled like foil when she applied leverage in exactly the right spots. "How is this possible?" Yelana whispered, watching the sensor readings in horror. The database said humans were primitive, barely out of their nuclear age. They shouldn't have this kind of physical capability. Jek Tor pulled up the original survey data on his personal screen. The scouts observed them from orbit. They saw cities, vehicles, what appeared to be a peaceful, technology-dependent civilization. No one thought to actually test their physical limits. Because why would you? Yelana's voice cracked. Look at their world specifications. Class 12 Deathworld designation, gravity that would crush most species, atmospheric composition that's toxic to 90% of galactic life, weather patterns that shift between lethal extremes. Any sane species would have gone extinct or evolved into something obviously dangerous. Instead, they evolved into something that looks harmless, Jek Tor realized with growing dread. Perfect camouflage. They appear weak and vulnerable, so predators underestimate them. Then, the ship shuddered as something heavy impacted the hull. Both officers looked at each other in confusion until the internal sensors showed Maya Torres in the ship's maintenance section and systematically dismantling the artificial gravity generators. "She's going to kill us all," Yelana breathed. "No," Jek Tor said slowly, studying the human's movements on the monitor. "Look at her technique. She's not destroying randomly. She's being surgical, precise. She's disabling systems, not destroying them." As if to prove his point, the artificial gravity flickered but didn't fail completely. Maya had adjusted the generators to create pockets of variable gravity throughout the ship, turning the familiar environment into a maze of floating debris and unexpected weight shifts. The intercom crackled again. "Attention, crew of the Prophet's Edge. This is Captain Torres. I'm currently in your engineering section, and I have to say your ship design is fascinating. Biological components integrated with synthetic systems. Very elegant." Her voice was conversational, almost friendly, which somehow made it more terrifying than if she'd been screaming threats. "I've taken the liberty of adjusting your life support systems. Don't worry, you'll still be able to breathe, but I've introduced some Earth-standard atmospheric pressure. You might feel a bit heavy for a while." Jek Tor felt the change immediately. His bones creaked under the increased pressure, and his breathing became labored. Around the bridge, his crew was struggling to remain upright under the crushing weight of Earth's normal atmosphere. "Now," Maya continued, "I'm going to make you an offer. I want to meet with your captain alone in what I assume is your central command area. If you refuse, I'll continue my tour of your ship, and trust me, you don't want me getting creative with your quantum drive systems." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence, broken only by the sound of labored breathing. "Sir," Yelana gasped, "we have to surrender. She's already proven she can disable our ship at will if she damages the quantum drive. We'll be stranded in deep space," Jek Tor finished. "And eventually we'll suffocate when life support fails completely." He straightened his shoulders, fighting against the increased atmospheric pressure. He opened ship-wide communications. The channel activated with a soft chime. "This is Captain Jack Tor to all crew. Stand down from all defensive positions. Do not attempt to engage the human. Repeat, do not engage. I'm ordering a full surrender." Maya's voice came through the intercom immediately. "Smart choice, Captain. I'll be on your bridge in 5 minutes. And Captain, tell your crew that any sudden movements will be interpreted as hostile actions. I'm sure you understand the consequences." The next 5 minutes were the longest of Zek Tor's life. He dismissed his bridge crew, leaving only himself and the essential system operators. When the main doors opened, he expected to see a towering warrior, perhaps wearing some kind of advanced combat armor. Instead, Maya Torres walked onto the bridge, looking like she'd just finished a light workout. Her hair was slightly mussed, and there was a small tear in her clothing, but otherwise she appeared completely unharmed. She was still impossibly small by galactic standards, barely reaching Jack Tor's mid-torso. "Captain," she said with a polite nod. "Thank you for being reasonable. I appreciate a professional approach to these situations." Jack Tor's vocal cords felt paralyzed. This tiny creature had single-handedly conquered his ship, disabled his security systems, and forced his entire crew to surrender. And she was thanking him for being reasonable. What do you want?" he managed to croak. Maya settled into the navigator's chair, testing its weight distribution before committing to sitting. "Information, primarily. I want to know everything about your slave trading operation. Routes, contacts, other ships, the whole network. I cannot reveal that information. The syndicate would execute me and my entire crew." Maya's expression didn't change, but something shifted in her posture. "Captain, let me explain something about human psychology. We have this concept called righteous anger. When we encounter injustice, especially involving the exploitation of innocents, we tend to become very, very motivated to fix the problem." She stood and walked to the main view screen, gesturing at the starfield beyond. "Right now, I'm experiencing a particularly intense case of righteous anger. You see, I've learned that you're not just random criminals. You're part of an organized network that specializes in abducting sentient beings for slavery. That makes you part of a system that causes suffering on a galactic scale." Jack Tor's scales began to flush pale with terror. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that the syndicate isn't your biggest problem anymore." "I am." Maya turned back to him, and her eyes held the cold calculation of a predator evaluating prey. "You're going to help me dismantle this entire operation, starting with every piece of information you have. And if I refuse—" Maya smiled that terrifying human smile. "Then I'll disable your ship's communication systems, set your navigation to random coordinates, and leave you drifting in deep space. Eventually your supplies will run out, and you'll die slowly wondering if the next ship you encounter will be rescue or another group of slavers." The casual way she described condemning them to death made Jack Tor's blood freeze. "You would murder us all?" "Murder?" Maya looked genuinely puzzled. "Captain, I'm offering you a choice. Cooperate with me to stop a criminal enterprise that destroys lives or face the consequences of your actions. That's not murder, that's justice." She began walking around the bridge, examining the various control stations with professional interest. "Besides, I'm not planning to kill anyone. I'm planning to make sure this never happens again. Your cooperation will determine whether you survive to see the results." Jack Tor watched as she casually examined their most sensitive equipment, clearly understanding far more about their technology than any primitive species should. "How do you know so much about our systems?" "Humans are remarkably adaptable," Maya replied, running her fingers along a quantum processing unit. "We learn quickly, especially when we're motivated. And right now I'm very motivated to understand exactly how your operation works." The bridge doors opened, and Lieutenant Kralvok stumbled in, his carapace still cracked from their earlier encounter. "Captain, I brought the files you requested." Maya turned, raising an eyebrow. "Files?" Kralvok approached cautiously, carrying a data storage device. Complete records of our operations. Trade routes, contact information, ship schedules, everything. Excellent thinking, Lieutenant. Maya accepted the device and plugged it into the nearest terminal. See, Captain? Your crew understands the situation better than you do. Jektor stared at his subordinate in shock. You betrayed the syndicate. I betrayed nothing, Kralvok replied, his voice hollow. I made a tactical assessment. The syndicate has never faced a Deathworlder before. They don't understand what they're dealing with. She does. Maya nodded approvingly as she reviewed the data. Your lieutenant is very perceptive. This operation extends across 17 star systems, involving 43 vessels and approximately 200 personnel. Quite impressive. What are you going to do with that information? Jektor asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. I'm going to use it to shut down the entire network, Maya said matter-of-factly. Every ship, every station, every contact. By the time I'm finished, the galactic slave trade will be a memory. That's impossible. You're just one person. Maya's smile returned, and this time it held genuine amusement. Captain, let me tell you something about humans. We're pack hunters. We evolved to work together, to share information, to coordinate our efforts across vast distances. Right now I'm just one human, but I won't be alone for long. She activated the ship's communication system, adjusting the frequency to a specific channel. This is Captain Maya Torres' Terran Defense Force, broadcasting on emergency frequency Alpha 7. I am requesting immediate assistance from any Terran vessels in the sector. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Dozens of voices filled the bridge, all speaking in rapid, clipped tones that made Jektor's translator struggle to keep up. Ship identifications, position reports, tactical assessments, coordination protocols. Within minutes, Maya had established contact with a full battle group that had been searching for her since her disappearance. Torres, this is Admiral Sarah Knox aboard the TDF Retribution. We've been tracking your signal. Are you injured? Negative, Admiral. I'm in control of a hostile vessel involved in galactic slave trading. I've acquired their operational database and am ready to coordinate a full suppression operation. Understood. We're vectoring 6 ships to your position. Estimated arrival in 4 hours. Do you require immediate extraction? Maya glanced at Jektor, who was staring at the communication display in growing horror. Negative, Admiral. I'm quite comfortable here, but you might want to alert the Galactic Council. We're about to hand them the biggest slave trading bust in recorded history. As the transmission ended, Maya turned back to the alien captain. You wanted to know what makes humans dangerous, Captain. It's not our strength or our adaptability, though those certainly help. It's our ability to turn individual actions into collective responses. You didn't just abduct one human, you declared war on our entire species. She gestured at the star field beyond the view screen. In 4 hours, 6 human warships will arrive. Each one carries enough firepower to reduce your entire syndicate to cosmic dust. But that's not the real threat. What is? Jektor whispered. Maya's expression grew serious. The real threat is that humans never forget, and we never forgive crimes against innocents. Every species in this galaxy will know what happened here. They'll know that slavery is no longer profitable because humans will hunt down anyone who engages in it. She stood and walked to the captain's chair, settling into it with casual authority. So, Captain Jektor, I have a proposition for you. Help me contact every ship in your network. Tell them to surrender immediately. Those who cooperate will be treated as prisoners of war. Those who resist. She left the sentence hanging, but the implication was clear. Jektor looked around his bridge, seeing his crew's terrified faces, then at the small human who had single-handedly conquered his ship and was now coordinating the destruction of a galactic criminal empire. The choice was simple, really. I'll make the calls, he said quietly. Maya nodded. I thought you might. Welcome to the new galaxy, Captain. One where slavery is extinct and humans are no longer considered easy prey. As Jek-Tor began transmitting surrender orders to his network, Maya settled back in the captain's chair and smiled. The Syndicate had made a simple mistake. They'd assumed humans were just another species to be catalogued and exploited. They'd forgotten the first rule of survival in a hostile universe: never corner a predator unless you're prepared for the consequences. And humans, despite their deceptively fragile appearance, were the most dangerous predators the galaxy had ever seen.